And we wrap up the episode yesterday and the internet explodes because the ATF in the Tyler Robinson case cannot connect the gun to him. Oh, okay, interesting. What does it all mean? You have a bunch of people racing. Ooh, could you imagine the PR cash they are spending right now? Racing to tell you this is a big nothing burger. Who cares if we can't connect the gun to the bullet fragment? Okay, we care. I care. Because we were right.
Might be fitting for this video that I'm making to be made and released on April Fool's Day as I intend, because the Daily Mail essentially pulled a fast one on everybody on the internet.com with a deliberately misleading headline that technically is true in terms of the technicalities, but gives 95% of the readers who just read the headline the exact wrong impression, where they decided to say, based on a defense filing in the Tyler Robinson case, which of course is the assassination of Charlie Kirk criminal case, that the bullet did not actually match Tyler Robinson's gun, and therefore all the conspiracies related to Charlie Kirk being killed by all these different combinations of government or some other second shooter must be true according to the impressions that many people got, again, from this headline. But the fact is, when you read this headline, you should be incredibly suspicious because it is deliberately crafted to produce the reaction, the clicks, the retweets, and all of that you would expect, while actually conceding in said headline, if you read it closely, that there's kind of nothing to this particular filing. So let us read it really quickly, and then I'm going to explain it all to you guys throughout the course of this video, because I think it's absolutely crucial. Bullet used to kill Charlie Kirk did not as in all caps, match rifle allegedly used by suspect Tyler Robinson, new court filing claims. Now again, for many people, this particular headline signed, sealed, and delivered the fact that Tyler Robinson is a patsy, but in reality, what was actually being documented right here by the Daily Mail and what was brought up by the defense team, who, by the way, are obligated to defend Tyler Robinson to the best of their ability, is that the test in question was inconclusive. And I'm going to break down everything related to this case, as well as make the case for the evidence against Tyler Robinson. But before I do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
So in order to understand this particular headline, you have to actually understand the test that they're referring to in this particular filing, so you can have an understanding of why the result of inconclusive was absolutely guaranteed in this particular instance. And for those of you who are unaware, whenever you fire a gun, what ends up happening is the bullet travels through the barrel of said gun, and there are markings that are made on the bullet that are thought to be unique to that firearm that allow you to refire a bullet from the same gun and then match the markings to the bullet and basically prove that a bullet directly came from and was fired from a particular firearm. Essentially, this is like a fingerprint that the gun leaves on the bullet that is fired, and in many cases, this is used to produce what is called a ballistic match in order to tie a bullet back to a specific gun and hopefully back to a specific shooter. So think about it like this. Let's say you had a bunch of people that were firing a weapon at an individual, only one bullet ended up hitting said individual. The way you would figure out which bullet from which person hit that individual is you would use this kind of testing.
So I've been doing this for a little over 20 years, and in all of my experiences, thousands of guns that I've test fired, I've never seen two firearms fire bullets or cartridge cases with similar features. The guns leave behind what you would call or would be equivalent to a fingerprint. So a firearm is made of metal, and metal is crystalline in nature. And so when that metal is machined, it's leaving behind unique features. These features are then transferred to bullets and cartridge cases during the firing process. So as a bullet travels down a barrel, the rifling marks that have been cut into the barrel are then transferred to the bullet, and they're unique to that gun. As well as when a cartridge case is fired in a bullet, a firing pin will strike the primer on the head of the cartridge case, leaving behind unique features.
I have to give an asterisk right here because I do think it is very important for me to bring up that the idea of matching an individual bullet to an individual gun among a group of the same type of gun is considered by some to be junk science. And in fact, there is a court ruling out of Chicago that dismisses this type of evidence, essentially making the case that while it is possible for you to match the bullet to the type of gun that it was fired, a Glock will leave the same or similar enough rifling as another Glock.
We can. We do have a GRC, which is the General Rifling Characteristic Database. And what we do is we'll take land and groove measurements. So we will measure this area here and this area here, and we throw that into the database. And depending on those measurements, it'll spit back makes, models of firearms to potentially be on the lookout for.
Groups of guns leaving specific marks on the bullets that leave their chambers and barrels.
So I can tell you that specifically this one's a Glock. I just know from the elliptical firing pin impression. And this one, I would say is probably a Smith & Wesson or Springfield, just because it's circular.
Experience.
Well, I see a lot, so I'm able to narrow it down sometimes.
And tools, turning microscopic scratches into major answers.
Therefore, you can't do the individual match. So all this was ever going to produce was not what is considered to be a match, as in the bullet 100% matched Tyler Robinson's gun. In reality, it would have been consistent with the make and model of said gun, not an exact match. And again, this is the new update on ballistic science, what is currently being contested right now in the courts on whether or not you could determine the actual individual gun or just the make and model. However, this testing requires that the bullet at least somewhat be intact, but as we've talked about on this channel before, and again, I played this clip before, the bullet that was in Charlie Kirk's neck had actually fragmented to the point because it hit one of his vertebrae and then was redirected downward before exploding again into little bullet fragments.
We're talking about the tearing up of the crime scene and everybody's wanting them to find the bullet. I mean, if the bullet hit any bone at all, there is no bullet. It's just fragmentation.
Great point.
And
that was discussed already.
And if there was no exit wound in the autopsy though, there should be. I mean, if there was no exit wound, then there should be fragmentation of the bullet would have fragmented into who knows how many pieces.
The doctor, and again, this is not a non-disclosure violation, but the doctor came out there and told us. And then they also told the chief of staff. So the bullet came in and hit the vertebra. So it came in and then tore up everything in the wound cavity, hit the vertebra, crushed it, shattered it, turned, crushed the second one, turned, kept going down all the way, I think they said C6.
Holy
Yeah, it's like, why not put that info out? Why not put it out? And then
why wouldn't they put that out?
And if do me a favor, don't make me do it. It's not my job. And so then it got to here, and you're exactly right. And then hit, I think, 6, and then fragged. And so explanation 101.
Now, this is crucial information for you guys to have for a number of reasons. And the first and the most important should be obvious to everybody out there in the audience, but I will explain it anyway so that we can all be on board on the same level. And so you can understand why I did not react at all whatsoever to this headline, because I knew exactly what the Daily Mail was doing. So if you are looking for, in order to match a bullet to a specific firearm, rifling or marks on said bullet that are unique to the barrel of said firearm, obviously you're not going to be able to do this if the bullet is not at least partially intact. If it has broken up and fragmented, as has been stated to be the case in this particular case, then yeah, that's not going to happen. And this is why the report is inconclusive, rather than saying that it's a ballistics match or that the firearm from Tyler Robinson, the rifle that was in his possession, was excluded as a contributor of said bullet. So yeah, this this is inconclusive because you can't actually properly do the tests on the tiny fragments that were found under the neck of Charlie Kirk. Now, the second reason I play you that clip is absolutely crucial, again, is because of this Andrew Colvett tweet. I want to address some of the discussion about the lack of an exit wound with Charlie. I'm usually not interested in delving into most of this kind of online chatter, and I apologize if this is somewhat graphic, but in this case, the fact that there wasn't an exit wound is probably another miracle, and I want people to know. I just spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital. He said, quote, "The bullet absolutely should have gone through," which is very, very normal for a high-powered, high-velocity round. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken a moose or two down, an elk, etc., but it didn't go through. Charlie's body stopped it. I mentioned to his doctor that there were dozens of staff, students, and special guests standing directly behind Charlie on the other side of the tent, and he replied, quote, "It was an absolute miracle that someone else didn't get killed." Quote, "His bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like a man of steel. It should have just gone through and through. It likely would have killed those standing behind him too. In the end, the coroner did find the bullet just beneath the skin. Even in death, Charlie managed to save the lives of those around him. Remarkable, miraculous." Now look, I don't know Andrew Colvett. I don't know if a surgeon actually told him this, but this is the kind of information that you probably should have kept to yourself, because what this likely was, if this was told to Andrew Colvett, is comforting words from a doctor in order to make the friends or family of Charlie Kirk feel better, based on the fact that Charlie really didn't know what happened to him. He died almost instantly. The shot came out of nowhere, and the idea that you can provide some comfort to the family is a standard practice among doctors that is very common. Again, I have many family members in the medical field, and I know this sounds really harsh, and I do genuinely apologize to anybody who had a relative pass away and they were told that, the relative felt no pain. But yeah, I've been told time and time again from medical professionals that even if your relative does feel a lot of pain, if they died in an excruciating manner, they will in fact tell you there was no pain, just to give you some comfort. So what Andrew Colvett is trying to do right here is comfort people, and likely if a doctor actually did tell him this, it was to comfort Andrew Colvett. It is stupid to bring this up publicly. This is not a part of the official story or anything of the sort. However, because of the conspiracies around Charlie Kirk, people are addressing and trying to debunk this claim as if it is an official claim, when in reality, that is just not the case. Again, I played the video for you that we played months ago on this channel about how it hit one of his vertebrae, it traveled downward. We will find this out more about this in trial, and yeah, all these different videos about how, oh, well, it's from a different angle and the shot's much closer, but that bullet would definitely pass through a thing. Here's the model that Candace Owens and other people like her end up playing on their channels.
Well, we definitely penetrated our water jugs, and I don't think this is going to help to stop the conspiracy theories. His head fell off.
Look at that. I mean, watch that. Yeah, so I wanted to show that because I realized there's a bunch of people who may not be gun enthusiasts. Obviously, that channel is dedicated to it. And just so you understand and really appreciate what the federal government is trying to sell to you right now. That's what we mean when we say that particular bullet would have decapitated Charlie. Like you see, like actually, it just the idea that just like ricocheted and went inward is just so beyond ridiculous. It's insulting. And they think that if they send out these like glee boys, like Nick Fuentes acting, someone who looks like he's never even been traversed into nature before, that if they really put on the theater, then a bunch of hunters are going to go, yeah, I see what you mean, man. It's never going to happen. It's just never going to happen.
These are admittedly not one-to-one comparisons, and again, as somebody who's not a firearms expert, but seeks out information from other people who seem to know about firearms, apparently fragmenting from that distance is not impossible. Again, sometimes bullets go through, sometimes they don't, sometimes they hit something, they break up, and that appears to be what happened in this particular case, and until there's some actual evidence to the contrary, I'm not interested in the speculation and the non-one-to-one recreations using pig parts and not the same angle and all sorts of other things, because obviously the angle and everything like that definitely matters when you're running an experiment like this. But anyway, back to the bullet thing, because of course the defense is going to try to platform their best pieces of evidence in order to try to make their case, because they are obligated to do so. But the fact is, one of the things that you don't find in the defense filing, because it's not defense related information, is the fact that the spent cartridge, of which the bullet would have come from, was in fact matched to Tyler Robinson's firearm. And we will likely see in the future, if they do like a composition of the bullet fragment, that the bullets that were also in the gun, the other 3 bullets that also had markings, will have matched the same composition of the fragment that was in Charlie Kirk. So we will have to wait on that later. And again, you wouldn't expect to find this in a defense filing because it is a defense filing. Now, there is also a claim from the defense that there are other DNA profiles that were found on the firearm. This is not at all surprising. Again, what you're looking for is touch DNA, and if anybody at any point in time would have touched the firearm, like Tyler Robinson's roommate prior to the actual shooting, or maybe it was touched inappropriately by somebody who was a police officer, you would expect to find additional DNA profiles through touch DNA on the rifle. But of course, what the defense doesn't focus on is that the DNA on the trigger, which again would be fired by the shooter of this particular firearm, was in fact Tyler Robinson's. The DNA on the bullets that are inside the gun, the other ones that had the markings, that DNA matched Tyler Robinson. The DNA on the towel that the firearm was wrapped in also matched Tyler Robinson. And again, I understand that I'm not going to convince a whole host of you guys out there in the audience that I bought into these conspiracies that it was Tyler Robinson, but for some of you, you're likely not hearing this evidence anywhere on the internet, so I think it's important for me to bring it up, because obviously we have the surveillance video, and from the surveillance video, Tyler Robinson's parents, who by the way, are actually on the witness list, and the prosecution likely wants them to testify to a number of things. So first and foremost, Tyler Robinson's parents believe that they recognized their son from the surveillance images that were actually published to the public. But to make matters worse, they actually said that they recognized the firearm. Again, this is in private messages between them and Tyler Robinson, and they were so suspicious of that firearm being the same one that Robinson's grandfather actually gave to him that they decided to ask Tyler Robinson for a photo of the firearm so that they could confirm what they were seeing on television was not the same firearm that Tyler Robinson actually owned. And Robinson was unable to actually provide a photograph of said rifle. In addition to that, there is also reports of Tyler Robinson confessing to his family, saying that the rationale was that Charlie Kirk spread hate and they needed to do something about this. There were prior conversations before Charlie Kirk ended up coming to UVU, where Robinson also reportedly expressed negative views to Charlie Kirk and of course an awareness that he was coming to UVU's campus. There's also the fact that Tyler Robinson is on surveillance video in Orem, which again is 3 hours away from where he lived, so he's placed at the scene of the crime. And in addition to that, we have 2 other confessions. We have the Discord confession, where Tyler Robinson said it was him, and we have the text message confession that was to Lance Twiggs, who is the trans gay lover, the one that they describe as a furry, of Tyler Robinson. Now, there's a lot of people who will say that none of these 3 confessions actually happened, they were fabricated by the feds, but you know who is not saying that these confessions were fabricated by the feds? The parents of Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson's gay trans furry boyfriend also not saying it. I don't know about the people in Discord where the message was allegedly posted, but again, you would think at this point in time, especially with all the attention and all the interview potential for these people, that if they were framing Tyler Robinson as a patsy, they would be able to come forward to the public and say, guess what? This never happened. The feds are lying about this. Our son is innocent, or boyfriend is innocent. innocent, or Discord buddy is innocent. It definitely wasn't him. Don't trust the feds. And yet that has not happened. All of these people have been subpoenaed. They will be testifying on behalf of the prosecution, and we still have no word from any of them, including his parents, including members of his own family, including his gay trans furry boyfriend who allegedly Tyler Robinson did the shooting for in order to protect him, her, whatever. None of these people have come forward to the public to say this did not occur. We also have Tyler Robinson's coworker that also recognized him from the surveillance video and noted one particular unique characteristic from the surveillance video that sealed the deal from him, and that of course was the fact that Tyler Robinson always walked around for some reason with super clenched fists to the points where he thought that this guy must be angry at them or something, and had made commentary on that in the past before. Now we go to this New York Post article so you can hear from this former coworker of Tyler Robinson. Quote, "I was so shocked when I heard the news yesterday. I was like, quote, it can't be Tyler. So I called my old coworker at Wild Electric and I was like, hey, did Tyler show up for work today? He was like, no, he was supposed to, but maybe he's at a different site. And I was like, dude, I think Tyler was the one who did the shooting, and he didn't believe me," the man said, adding that his subsequent phone call to Robinson went straight to voicemail. And then there's this tidbit. Tyler walked around with clenched fists all the time, like super hard clenched fists. I remember making a joke to him one time when he had his fist like that. I was like, "Are you angry, Tyler?" And he was like, "That's just what I do." He was always soft-spoken, but his fists were always like that, he said. Even in the security footage from UVU, you can see he's got his fists clenched tight. So let's recap the evidence against Tyler Robinson so you guys can understand. So first of all, we have the direct evidence. These would be the 3 confessions, the eyewitness testimony to those confessions that obviously end up indicating that Tyler Robinson is in fact guilty. In addition to that, we have all the circumstantial evidence, which, by the way, anything outside of a confession or eyewitness testimony falls into the category of circumstantial, and that includes the DNA evidence on the rifle, on the trigger, on the bullets, on the screwdriver, and of course on the towel that the rifle was found in. We also have the surveillance video, which places Tyler Robinson at the scene of the crime, at the place that was identified by an officer on the scene as the likely shooting position. And by the way, we also have the indents of where the rifle was planted, and of course the knee imprints that are also there, and very likely if there was gravel on this rooftop, we probably have some shoe impressions that could probably be traced back to Tyler Robinson. We also have multiple IDs of Robinson from disinterested people that again would have no reason to be in on a conspiracy, including people that honestly have reasons to lie for Robinson, including Robinson's gay trans furry boyfriend. We also have the parents of Robinson that are again on the prosecution's witness list and have never contradicted the idea that Robinson confessed to them to being the shooter of Charlie Kirk. And in addition to that, we do have a match of the shell casing to Tyler Robinson's rifle, which again is a unique rifle that was found at the scene of the crime. So the evidence pretty solid. In a normal case where conspiracy theorists haven't gotten a hold of it and basically turned it into an Innocence Project fraudulent attack on the actual prosecution, we would have a conviction signed, sealed, and delivered. And for the overwhelming majority of people, this would be unquestionably solid. And on the flip side of that, in terms of evidence of Tyler Robinson's innocence or that he was a patsy, we have a defense filing about a test that was inconclusive, that was essentially punched up to generate more clicks by the Daily Mail, and a bunch of people creating innuendos and conspiracy theories about the case that have been doing so for a lengthy period of time. And again, I'm not saying that these people aren't good broadcasters. I'm not saying that they're not good storytellers. I mean, there's a reason why the Innocence Project very often deploys these same tactics that we documented in the past in order to get guilty people out of jail, off for crimes that they absolutely did commit. But the thing is, the theories that these people are putting forward make significantly less sense when you put them under scrutiny than Tyler Robinson being the shooter. Now, that's not to say that there's a 0% chance that other people were involved. It just seems more logical that the other people who would be involved would be other leftists that align with Tyler Robinson. We don't know a lot about the Discord group that he was in, that he felt the need to post that confession into. We also don't know a lot about Lance Twiggs, and it seems rather convenient that Twiggs is saying that he witnessed Tyler Robinson engrave bullets in the apartment that they shared, but had no idea that he intended to do anything with those engraved bullets. So while there are some unanswered questions, the fact is you have to follow the evidence, not the most convenient narrative, not the most interesting story, not the most interesting tale, because the fact is that's going to lead you down a path into buying into a bunch of nonsense. And by the way, it is not a surprise that many of the people who have bought into those conspiracies ended up immediately jumping on the exact wrong interpretation of this defense filing, which again is obviously going to be framed in favor of the defense that was punched up by the Daily Mail. I mean, in addition to that, you also have people talking about how the sheriff, and by the way, a lot of people conflate the guy who retired that I'm going to talk about in a minute with the already retired person who worked for the department that Tyler Robinson turned himself into, when they are not the same person. And people are saying, oh, same day that this Daily Mail article came out, this guy ended up resigning. It's obviously connected, when in reality, that's not true. This guy ended up resigning on Friday. The Daily Mail article ended up dropping on the 30th, Friday the 27th, not the same day. I don't know how else to make that even more clear to you guys. And yeah, we don't know the reasons behind that resignation, but this is also not the guy that Tyler Robinson turned himself into. Now look, I have other videos where I address other things related to this particular conspiracy. I'll link them in the description for you to check them out for yourself. Obviously, I just don't want to rehash the same claims over and over again, but yeah, this is where I want to leave it, but I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the absolute craziness of this Daily Mail article. Till next time.